what is a method? What is a technique? How much of it is your doing and how much of it is allowing things to happen? Where are you required and where you must disappear? The balance between coming and going, entering and leaving, watching and falling asleep is the art of meditation, is the art of sitting still, the art of zazen. If we are having any trouble understanding this, it's only because we have certain fixed ideas of how some things should be interpreted. We interpret them based on our daily experiences. At some point in time, we would have experienced a moment when somebody would have told us, just sit quiet, without actually explaining what that sitting quiet is. That is how most of our conversations begin and end. They are conversations of convenience. They are not conversations of truth. If you're in a classroom and if you are annoying your friends, you're making a lot of noise, your teacher might say, just sit quiet. But they actually don't mean that. What they actually mean is, don't disturb me or don't disturb the class. Don't disturb me is expressed in a different way. Sit quiet. But if you truly were to ask, what is it to sit quiet? Is it actually possible to sit quiet? You would be thrown out of the class. Firstly, you're disturbing the class. And now you're arguing with me about sitting quiet. And don't you understand what sitting quiet is? Sitting quiet is just sitting quiet. Don't talk. But that's not the truth of the statement. That is just a convenient statement. So there are many things that we have taken for granted that needs clarifying in the spiritual realm. Not because there is some deep meaning to things. It's because our meaning is so shallow. The language we use is so shallow. It's more of a transactional language. Mostly our conversations are business conversations. Do this, don't do that. Go here, don't go there. Right, wrong, good, bad. All descriptions of experiences are basically to express one's desire to get something or to avoid something. These are not conversations to illuminate the nature of reality. So it's natural that our mind is filled with all kinds of superficial descriptions of things. Meditation. The mind already has an idea of what meditation is. Sitting still. It knows what sitting still is. Enlightenment. It even has a concept for what enlightenment is. But in actuality, it does not know any of this. It lives in a realm of its own, completely fixed and attached to a certain way of looking at things. Now, this is what happens when you meet a teacher. A teacher who spends more time on the inside than on the outside. A teacher who does not use this transactional business language. He uses the same words, but he understands them in a very different way. For a teacher, sitting still is anything but just sitting still. Sitting quiet is anything but just sitting quiet. It isn't enough if you are able to sit still and keep on moving on the inside. It isn't enough if you are able to sit quiet and keep on talking to yourself on the inside. For a teacher, sitting still is sitting still. In fact, it doesn't even matter whether you're still or not on the outside, but where it matters the most, are you still? It's the same with silence. On the outside, there could be a lot of noise. You can even be listening to that noise. Sometimes you can even be participating in a conversation. But are you silent? Now, that is what separates spiritual conversation from the worldly conversation. Zazen is not a meditation technique. It is simply the dharma gate of joyful ease. It is the practice realization of totally culminated enlightenment. Here, Dogen is giving a totally new description of sitting still. He's equating sitting still with enlightenment. He's saying there's no separation between the act of sitting still and the experience of enlightenment. It is the gate, it is the path, it is also the destination. Most importantly, it is not a technique, it is not a method. Sitting still is how you bring all your different ways of searching to one point. Sitting still is enlightenment. There is absolutely no exception to this rule in the whole history of humanity. Yes, you can do many things around it. You can devise methods and techniques to intensify your experience of sitting still, your connection with silence. But without a discipline of sitting still, it is next to impossible to become enlightened. It does not matter which path you take. You take the path of meditation, you take the path of knowledge, you take the path of karma, you take the path of love. Without a discipline of sitting still, all paths are simply words and ideas. That is why every meditation technique eventually comes back to that moment of sitting still. Let's say you're doing a dancing meditation. What is the difference between dancing and dancing meditation? In dancing, you just dance. There's music, you dance. There is no pause, there is no silence, there's no stillness. You just move your body, you're enjoying the movements. As long as the music is playing, you're dancing. When you want to stop or when the music stops, you just walk away. Now that is dancing. But in dancing meditation, you alternate between movement and stillness. You move, you connect with the music, but when the music stops, you sit still or you stand still. That coming to the center, that stilling your mind, stilling your body is fundamental to meditation. If that is not happening, then you're not meditating. If that is not happening, you are not going deeper. That is why if someone says they are enlightened, and if you are not able to find a discipline of sitting still in their life, you can safely, without any doubt, dismiss their enlightenment experience as a fanciful imagination. It's just that when we read in books or when the experience of different types of searching is described, this sitting quiet part is left out. Because there is not much to record objectively as to what is happening when you're sitting quiet. Same thing with the case of Jesus. All the noise, all the commotion, all the movement are recorded. But what about the most important part of his life of sitting still? For more than 8 years, he spent most of his time sitting still. The Nazarenes were meditators. They studied the scripture to clarify and understand better how to connect with the truth, and they practiced it in silence. There's not a single mystical school you will find without eventually bringing the student to that stillness, to that silence. That is why this statement is so meaningful. Zazen is not a meditation technique. It is simply the dharma gate of joyful ease. It is the practice realization of totally culminated enlightenment. It does not matter which technique you use. Ultimately, enlightenment will happen only when you are still.